What's going on, everyone? In today's video, I'm going to be answering the question on everyone's mind. When is the best time to sell your house? Starting right now. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Rick Harrison with MVP Realty, and on this channel, I teach you everything you need to know about living, buying, and selling in Fort Myers, Florida. So if you're considering moving, visiting, or just looking for something to do in one of the Gulf Coast's favorite cities, this is the channel for you. So make sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified every week when a new video drops. And don't forget to leave a comment below. I love reading them all, good, bad, or indifferent. All right, so let's dive on in. I think it's pretty safe to say everyone knows you buy low and you sell high. And with the COVID real estate market, we've all seen how high it can go very quickly. But a lot of sellers throughout COVID and even to this day have been unsure whether or not it was a good time to sell. And I don't mean that they were oblivious to the market conditions. I mean they were scared to list their home. Because when it comes to real estate markets, for the majority of homeowners, selling high means buying high. So when is the best time to sell? Well, ideally, the best time to sell a house is in a market like the one we're currently in, post-COVID, because there is such high demand from buyers and such little inventory from sellers. This is the epitome of the law of supply and demand. The less available a commodity is, even if demand doesn't increase, the more valuable it becomes and the more people are willing to pay to have it. It can sometimes almost become a self-fulfilling prophecy because of what's been coined a mob mentality. A group of people get excited, and by simply being near or hanging in similar circles and talking to them, they begin pulling more and more people into their frenzy like a magnet. But like I said earlier, with real estate, when you sell high, you are usually going to have to buy high. What we've seen in this current market is that one of the biggest reasons for such little inventory is because sellers are afraid to sell for a variety of reasons. They are afraid if they sell, they may not be able to find another home, or they'll be competing against so many other buyers they won't be able to win at a reasonable price. They also fear that if they do win the bidding war, it will be because they have waived all their contingencies and have no recourse if the house turns out to be a lemon. Some aren't necessarily worried about finding something at all, but rather that if they buy this high in such an uncertain market, that they'll be putting themselves back into the same mess those buyers in 2006 and 2007 did right before the housing crash. These are all valid concerns, and I want to address each of these in just a few moments, but first, let's talk about what situations would make even this crazy market a great time to sell. Well, location and seasons can be great reasons to sell. Depending on your market, historic data will show that certain seasons tend to be better times to buy or sell. For instance, in the Northeast, spring is a great time to buy and sell because both buyers and sellers agree that with the holidays and cold winters, nobody wants to move. But after being cooped up all winter, they're itching for change. In my area, however, winter is one of the best times to buy and sell because snowbirds visiting from all over the world want to have a place that they can call their own down here. Location is also a good reason to sell, even now, if you live in an area that has high demand and want to move to an area that has lower demand. For example, someone looking to sell their home in Fort Myers to move out to La Belle is probably going to make out all the way around. Well, how? Well, because supply and demand drives price. The higher the supply, the lower the demand and price. The lower the supply, the higher the demand and price. Another good time to sell, no matter what, is in the peaks and valleys of a market. If you watched my last video on the Southwest Florida housing market update, you would have seen the chart showing that we are leveling off into valleys right now, which means we have most likely hit a turning point in the market. You can check out that video in the top right here. This peak or valley means that the market has hit its maximum velocity and is going to either shift or slow down at the very least. In other words, selling now is going to provide you with the most amount of value for your home and allow you to have a much better chance to buy because buyers' demand has started to pull back. So should you sell now? Well, that's really going to depend upon the factors I just covered and your specific circumstances. But if you were to sell, let me just clear up some of those myths and fears I mentioned earlier that many people have. First, even though the market has slowed, properties are still selling for top dollar, and sellers still hold a majority of the power, meaning you can still negotiate some solid contingencies into your sale. For instance, the supply is so low that sellers are still able to negotiate extended leaseback terms until they find their next home, and many buyers are just willing to wait to win the deal. Sellers are still able to put in contingencies that the home won't close until they've had their offer accepted on wherever they're going to next. And for those worried about having to compete with cash buyers, I have a financing program that I've explained in another video that'll allow you to buy property with all cash so you can actually outbid others. You can check out the link to that video in the top right. And finally, while you may be buying higher, with interest rates still at historic lows, the buying power is still very similar to what buying power you had before the pandemic, despite such high home prices. The real concern should be for those who were thinking about buying but are waiting, because I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think home prices are going to drop much, if any. But I do think interest rates will be going up, which is going to put homeownership out of reach for many people in the very near future. And with everyone wanting to rent till the market changes, we are now seeing rent prices surpass mortgage payments again, meaning renting is again more expensive than buying. So now you know when the best time to sell your home is, but I'm sure some of you still have some questions about your specific situation. So leave me a comment or shoot me an email at rick@swflrelocationteam.com. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you learned something from today's video. And if you did, please hit that like and show me some love in the comments. That's what keeps me going and sharing all this info with you every day. And don't forget to subscribe and click that bell for more info just like this. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.